Welcome to Grow My Etsy Shop podcast, the drips of knowledge you need to start growing. Hey, welcome. So I actually had a pretty crazy day today. You want to hear this? This has nothing to do with anything Etsy, but I think you guys know I'm a growth marketer, and I have this client who has this podcast, and they have other things that they do, and we run the ad section of everything. And one of my guys logged in today and said, "Hey, Jared, did you create a campaign to spend $5,000 a day in this account?" And I was like, no. They're like, long story short, somebody had hacked this person's account 45 minutes before we figured it out. And they had set this to spend $5,000 a day as fast as it could. It was like lowest bids possible, just like get the spend out as fast as it could. And we had to get in there, and so we jumped in and we started to. What was crazy is they deleted our campaigns and renamed them the exact same names. So it was a good catch on this guy that he noticed that. But anyway, so we started to kind of work on our end to get these guys out, and they were working on their end to get us out. So we were like people were like, it was like we were in war. It's like, dude, I'm locked in. I'm like, I'm still in. We're like typing as fast as we can, and anyway, we ended up getting them out before they got us out. So big victory for us. Okay, so today I actually had someone in my school group buy some things on Etsy, and I love this because when I coach, there's two different versions of Jared that show up, and I try to have them both there, and I try to announce which one's coming. It's kind of a split personality Jared. Personality A is the growth marketer Jared, the guy that's studied, who's read, who's been involved in successful shops, and can identify things really quick. So, meaning I can go through a listing and be like, oh, this is best practice. This is what typical shops who are really successful do. This is what the gurus are saying to do these days. These are the things that are proven to work and have data that backs it. This is stuff from my own experience. This is stuff I've seen from others, yada, 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 and help tweak people's listings to be more successful. Then there's just consumer Jared, which is, and I say this usually, I say, hey, I'm going to take off my marketing hat for a second. I'm going to put on just my Jared hat. And I'm going to pretend like this is my first time seeing this product, and I'm going to go through as if I'm going to buy it. And I find often when I do this exercise that there's things that pop up that I didn't think about when I had my marketing hat on. So when I'm actually going to buy the product, there's things that matter more to me. I don't know the exact size of this, or I don't. Here's a great example. Just this week, I went to buy something. I needed to get something engraved on metal. And in my mind, that's what I was going to buy, this engraved on metal thing. So I'm on Etsy. I'm looking. I end up clicking on a certain listing. Now, keep in mind, what's on Jared's mind? An engraved piece of metal. And this guy has 4 pictures. So he has one picture, then a second picture of it slightly rotated, and then 2 pictures of it in a shadow box. And suddenly, my brain said, yeah, I guess being able to display this thing that I'm buying would be kind of nice. But does it come with a shadow box? I didn't know the answer. So I opened up the description and I looked to see if there was anything bold that could catch my attention, or caps, or if it was, and it was written like an essay. So I scrolled through it and I was like, I don't see it mention anything. So I left the listing. Started to look, found some other listings, and I just kept having that shadow box in my mind because I was like, that'd be a really nice thing to have. So went through a couple listings, and I thought, I'm going to go back to that listing. Legit had to do the thing where Etsy will say previously viewed. So I couldn't find it. So I was going through it. And finally I was previously viewed. Boom, hit it. Jump into it, and I'm back at it again, looking at it. Oh gosh, shadow box. And then I think I'm going to contact him and ask him. But I want to get this off my list right now. I don't want to have to come back and buy this dumb thing. Or if he says, no, it doesn't come with a shadow box, then I'm just going to buy the other one because we're getting kind of close to Christmas here. So I ended up going through his description again, and there was one line in the description, in the item details, that said, all products ship in shadow box display. And I was like, okay. That was really difficult to find out that information. And quite frankly, had anyone else clearly stated that it came with a shadow box and that it shipped with it, I would have bought from them. The only reason I'm here is that you just got lucky that I came back to you because I didn't find what I was looking for anywhere else, which isn't how you want to earn your customers. So then, I have this thought, which is, if I was to have messaged him, he probably would have been like, well, duh, it comes in a shadow box. I took 2 pictures of it. 50% of the listing shows it in a shadow box. Like, why would you not think that? And this is where Jared's quote comes in, which is, you have to build your listings for the dumbest. I want you to think of the dumbest person you know and build a listing thinking about that person. And then I want you to times it by 10. And that's what your listings should be geared towards. It should be so clear to me that that came with the shadow box. It should be a selling point, but it wasn't. Instead, it was a confusing thing that made me leave and go look for what he was selling somewhere else. And that's why it's important to be thinking about our customers and going through shops with our own shops with consumers' eyes to catch the things that are not easy to find. I actually run this exercise in my mastermind program where they bring a product in that they want, that they think should be selling, that's not. And then I have the members of the mastermind go through their listings live. So it's actually a little bit more than that. What they do is I say, what keywords do you want to be found under? And they're like, oh, if someone would search for this keyword, this is how I want to be found. So I have someone search for that keyword, and then they start to point out the listings that stood out to them. So they're like, oh, this one kind of caught my attention, and this one I wanted to click on, and this one was worth my energy to look at, and to see even if they stand out in search. Like, did their listings even pop to them? And then once we get them into their listing, the shop owner gets to watch them go through their listing with the idea of, this person is 100% going to buy your listing. So meaning if I'm the person going through the listing, I have to identify who I'm buying the product for. So I might be looking at, a cutting board, and Jared Robinson doesn't need a cutting board. But if I have to buy this product and I have to give it to someone or keep it, I'd probably say, yeah, I think it would be a good thing that my aunt would really like. I'm going to buy it for my aunt. And then I say, okay, great. Now go through this, ready to buy this for your aunt. And a lot of the times what we're learning is that certain questions are getting answered, but they're not getting answered at the right time. So they're like, oh, when I got to picture 3, I saw this product next to something else, and it turns out it was a lot smaller than I thought it was. But then I got to picture 7 and saw that, no, it's actually a normal cutting board. That was just kind of a weird picture. And it's that kind of stuff that creates the drop off that people don't know. And so it's so funny because the shop owner wants to pop as they're watching this. But that's the kind of stuff. I mean, this is what consumers' eyes can do for your business, is that they allow you to see where someone is thinking, what they're getting stuck on, how they're getting held back, and addressing that as quickly as you can. And this is stuff that we do with our landing pages, our websites and stuff. Like, as a growth marketer, this is stuff I'm doing all the time. And it's crazy how much sometimes these little tweaks make all the difference. So someone went through my school and shopped at a couple different places, and she ended up writing her experience from consumer eyes of things that stood out to her and how she felt in certain buying experiences. So I'm going to share some of those with you. You might be guilty of some of these things, and it's just a way for you to be able to hear and say, how would I handled that situation, and what does my customer feel like at the end of this? So, number 1, she ordered a pair of custom soccer slides, which are sandals. She received the wrong color. She reached out to the seller, and the seller was quick to respond. She apologized. She offered to send a new pair, and this woman who bought them said, hey, you know what? It's not a big deal. Can I just get a discount instead? Because I'm okay with the color. I just wish I would have had the other color. So the shop owner says, great, what do you think is fair? They both agreed on 25%, and done. She said, I was satisfied with the outcome because I got to choose the resolution. And then she said 2 days passed and no refund came in. So she reached out. And then the shop owner apologized for being busy, sent the refund right away. And then the consumer says, I had felt good, but then I felt sour about it because I did not feel taken care of. I do think she was busy and forgot, but I was still slightly annoyed. Now, before we judge this consumer, of like, well, because we're all shop owners, so we all know what this is like, and it's the middle of Christmas, and of course she was busy. It doesn't change a feeling. You can't argue with a feeling. A feeling might not be justified, but a feeling's a feeling. And if you're feeling slightly annoyed, that's not a good way to leave a brand. I often say, and this is, I actually had someone in my mastermind program get into a situation like this, and she's a successful shop and was really hung up on the principle of, I know I'm not wrong, therefore I'm gonna hold my ground, which I'm a principled man. I appreciate that mindset. However, it's a different beast, because there's you as an individual, Jared, being a principled man, and then there's your business. And you have to make the decision ahead of time. I often tell my children this. If you don't want to do drugs or whatever, you kind of have to make the decision ahead of time that you're not going to do it. Because if you're in a pressured situation, it's easy to be pressured if you hadn't made that decision yet. But if you make your decisions ahead of time, you have the thoughts, you have the principles, you sink them into your soul. And then when someone goes to offer you something that you disagree with, it's easy to say no. And if they're like, whoa, come on. It's like, I've already experienced the emotion and I'm on the other side of it. It's funny, I had a meeting with someone today who noticed something about a competitor and was kind of just vocalizing that to me, like, oh my gosh, I was really mad. I saw the thing, I didn't know about it. It really got me angry, and no. And so I kind of went to talk to this person about it, like, all right, let's open this nut and talk about it. And he said, I've already been mad. I spent a day mad. I've already felt it, and I'm done with it now. And I thought, good for you. That's a great way as a business owner to look at this, to feel the emotion and move past that emotion. So back to this. As a shop owner, you have to make a decision of what the type of shop you want to be seen and known as. And if you are and this is what I say to people, if you're in the business of selling a sandal or sandals for as much profit as you can, then it was really wise of her to, only give the 25% off for the wrong color, not have to do a refund and all that kind of stuff. But if you're in the business of growing a business, then you have to use mistakes as marketing opportunities. I often say to people, I'm not in the business of stealing your money. It's not what I'm trying to do. And so if you feel like this is what I'm doing something wrong or whatever, that's not how I operate. I'm willing to fix what I'm going to do. So if I was this shop owner, what would I do? I would have done exactly everything that she had done at this point. Someone would have said, I got the wrong color. I'd have said, dang it. I'll send you the right one. Sorry. And then when they said, it's all right, just give me a discount on this, I'd have said, great, let's agree on one. And they said 25, I'd say, perfect, 25. Thank you so much. Great doing business with you. And then if I was 2 days late to ship it and the person reached back out, or to refund him, the person reached back out and said, hello, I would say, I'm so sorry. Let me get on that. I'd get on there and I'd give them 50. I'd double it. And when they said, oh, thank you, I would say, I'm sorry. You shouldn't have had to reach out again. That's my bad. And I don't think they'd feel annoyed or bugged at something like that. Though I made 2 mistakes, shipped them the wrong sandal, forgot to give them a refund, I just gave a little bit. We call it the cost of doing business. It's a cost of doing business. And if we don't have the systems in place to be perfect, then we just have to make sure that we are willing to pay for our imperfections. Number 2. Ordered 2 pairs of earrings on December 1st. Label was printed on December 3rd and was supposed to arrive by the 10th. Tracking on the 10th said UPS had not received the package yet. I reached out to the seller. She said it was shipped and she didn't know why it still said in transit. Then another message 3 days later saying it was moving. She apologized for the delay and sent me a 50% off coupon my next purchase. My feelings, this is the consumer speaking, I don't want to buy from you again. I haven't received my first order. I don't even know if I'm going to like it. So this is, who knows what's going on in this story, but this is what we do know. When you print a label, a tracking number comes up. And at that point, an email says, hey, woohoo, you're good to go. And so people start to get excited. They start to look. There's a dopamine that comes with receiving a package and the countdown of the days. Oh, it's supposed to come on Sunday. I got 2 more days left or whatever it may be. And so people start to do this, and your customer journey, unfortunately, partners with the post office. And so you need to be slightly aware that if you print something and you sit on it for 7 days, that's not going to do anyone any good. I also know the feeling of, and who knows, right? She says, I don't know why it doesn't say it's in, I shipped it. I don't know what the problem is. She might have shipped that thing on December 3rd and it was December 10th and the post office was sitting on it. And there's realistically, and don't hear me saying anything other than you can rightfully say, look, it's been shipped. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. I don't control the post office. And so you can't take blame for that kind of stuff. However, if there is something that you can do, who knows? If it was, this is the truth of this. If she was sitting on it, she has to say, yeah, I was a little bit behind. Let me make it right. If it's the post office, it's the post office. And I feel confident. I feel comfortable just saying, unfortunately, this is the way the cookies crumbled on this one. But being empathetic and hearing what they have to say and understanding and all that kind of stuff. And I usually would say to people, look, if you don't get it by, or you don't have it by this date, I'll ship you out a brand new one. My dime. My treat. Making it sound like I'll take the hit. I will lose if the post office drops the ball. The post office is nothing but the middleman. But if they drop the ball, I will hook you up. And there's Etsy protection now and all this kind of stuff that you could just push them into that direction. Look, go to Etsy protection. They can hook you up, yada, yada, yada. But I want to hear the last sentence that was read here, which is that she offered her 50% off her next order. Now, the shop owner probably thinks that's generous because she's saying, yeah, look, I don't make money on 50% offs. So I'm pretty much giving you an at-cost product. The consumer says, that was worthless to me because I have no desire. So I'm just frustrated. It's not, my problem isn't that I want to buy another thing from your store. My problem is I haven't received my product. So which one would be a better route? Is it to say, hey, it's the 10th. I haven't received my product and this tracking isn't moving. Is it better for me to say, look, if you don't get it by the 15th, I'll ship out another one on my dime to you? Or is it better to say, look, I'll give you 50% off your next order? You can hear one of them solves the problem, the other one doesn't. And so, again, this woman probably felt she was being helpful, but it just didn't solve the problem. All right, let's go into number 3. Ordered a sweatshirt. Seller messaged me to say that their manufacturer is not able to make that design, the one pictured in the thumbnail, the one that I ordered. They told me to please choose another design from these options. That design is still listed in their shop, and I asked for a refund because I had not wanted that design. Because I had wanted that design. I thought that was sneaky and off-putting, especially since they did not offer a cancel refund as the resolution. Just choose another design. Okay. This is one of those, as a shop owner, I get it 1,000,000,000%. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've even coached this strategy before because it's terrible to take down a listing that's doing very well. So especially during the holiday seasons, listings will sometimes take off. And I have people saying to me, hey, I'm running low on inventory for this listing, but everyone's buying this thing from me. So they're saying to me, how do I pivot? How do I move it? And I'm like, listen, all of that's a risk. Keeping this listing alive and giving it CPR is one of the best things that you can do. So like I had someone who had, I think they had 10 variants of a product. She said, I'm down to 5. And so it's starting to look bad because now, pretty soon I'll be down to 4, I'll be down to 3. And so it's like everything's sold out. My advice to her was just remove the things that are sold out. So now there's only 5 options and all 5 are in stock. But she was starting to say, look, I'm getting low on the one that has the picture. And so the technique we used is we put most popular next to one that was not the one on the picture. And she said it did help swing some of that traffic away from her main listing picture of what she was doing. So from a shop standpoint, I totally get what this people were doing. They had a listing that was on fire. It was taking off. Everyone was buying that design. She went in to buy that design and they said, yeah, we don't have it. Sorry. I'll tell you this right now. When I owned an Etsy shop, I did this. I reach out to people and say, hey, sorry, we ran out of stock on this. We oversold it is what I would usually say. Sorry, we oversold this, because I couldn't mark it as sold out because I would lose my listing position. So I would just say, look, we sold out on this. What can what can we do? So I can send you. So luckily I had some pretty good margins and stuff like that. And I would offer them 2. So I would say to them, look, I can throw in another one for you. Or sometimes they would say to me, oh, you know what? I was between the purple and this. I'll go with the purple. And I say, thank you so much. Gosh, that's so helpful. Really, really appreciate it. And I left it at that. Probably could have done better. But if I had felt like I was getting some kickback or some unhappiness or whatever, of course, offering a refund realistically, and I think this is probably what was good about me, is I didn't have to wait. I would reach out to them to say, look, we're out, and we want to make it right. What can we do to make this right? So is there any other color, an option for you? I can refund or cancel your order, or I can ship you 2 of these, other colors that were a little bit less popular that I had more inventory of, and kind of gave them options to choose. And I think that's probably the best route to go. You can see she was a little off-putting. She felt like it was sneaky and stuff like that. I do see the shop side in this, but it's hard because we carve out time to shop. And so we're looking at other things. We're narrowing our options down, and then we get it down to 2 shops, and then we get it down to 1, and we spend the time. We read the description, and we're like, this looks right, and then we buy it, and then 24 hours later they say, hey, you got to reset it. You got to start over. And that's frustrating, and I get that. And so I think that we have to see it from their perspective and understand that we can't just be like, choose another option. We have to be like, look, sorry, yada, yada, yada. Okay, number 4, ordered a sweatshirt. This is the weirdest one, she says, that I assumed was POD. I got a notification that it was delivered, but it was not. Seller messaged me the same day to say she noticed that it was, the same day to say she noticed that it was oddly delivered to a different state. Thought that was weird. Why would the seller be looking at that? I didn't look at the delivery addresses of my customers once they're shipped or delivered. She immediately offered a refund or offered to resend. I said resend. 10 days later, I asked for a new tracking number. She said she was planning to ship in 2 days. I read her reviews, and one after another accidentally shipped to a different state. Seems so scammy, but I'm not sure how that could be a scam. Very strange. I asked for a refund. So, gosh, these are 4 experiences that this one person has had on Etsy. It makes you recognize so much more the importance of why Etsy is very favors good customer service shops. Like why that's important, why that's part of the algorithm for them. Because you can hear, what's the likelihood if this was her first time shop on Etsy, she's ever shopping on Etsy again? Just buying products that don't exist, people not shipping their stuff out, people shipping it to the wrong state. So again, I don't have any advice for this one because it's just kind of a weird one, but you just have to keep in mind that the customer journey doesn't end when they hand you their money. And if you're going to create a product and a brand, your job isn't to try to be as profitable as you can every sale. It's about leaving positive experiences with every sale. And for most of us, our products can do that. They can give people that positive experience. But if we're having these little hiccups along the way, it doesn't matter how good your product is. So anyway, I thought this was a little bit of a different episode, but something fun that we can just kind of talk out and go through together. If this is, guys, we're getting down to the wire here. If you want to join my growth program that I am launching, meaning you'll be joining other shops in this process and getting 3 months into the group that I'm doing and for free, and be able to have these follow along calls, work along with everybody, grow with everybody. At the start of the year, I have this, it closes at the end of the year, and we are getting to the end of the year. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to just have you in the group and be able to go through this stuff and find the things that are going to help you in 2026. So if you're looking at 2026 and you think, I want it to be different than 2025, this is a great place to start. I know that joining things like this can be kind of scary, and this is what I usually say to people. I say, look, if you want to grow, there's 2 ways to grow. You can either grow brave or you can grow scared. But if you join the program, I can make you that promise to you. You're going to grow. You can grow brave or you can grow scared. But if you're involved scared, great, you'll grow. If you're involved brave, great, you'll grow. Both will give you the same outcome. It's just a matter of how you show up. So if you're feeling scared, just come scared. If you're feeling brave, then be brave. But I'd love to have you. Okay, till next week.